around those books, and I'll show you how that works a little bit later. So they're probably the main things we're looking at: iBooks Author, iTunes U. There's the thing called Public Site Manager and the Bookstore. So there, I guess, iTunes Author and iTunes U are the things that you make, and the Public Site Manager and the Bookstore are then where you promote your stuff. Again, you can have it private, just in your school, or public, so everyone can see it. Look, public's great because then you've got that face that is out there, and other schools can see what you're doing, which is really cool as well. So these are the kind of the things that you've got here. So iBooks Author, you've obviously played around a little bit with. So that's Mac only, and I'm pretty sure it'll stay Mac only, which is good for you because you've got Macs. iTunes U is then their online platform for it's basically like a kind of like a content delivery system, and I'll show you how that works. iBooks are those books that you make, those multi-touch books, and they can be accessed on a Mac or an iPad, which is great. iTunes U, how it works, is pretty much iPad only as well. Your course manager and your site manager, that's more iTunes U. That's how you build your courses, and we'll have a look at that. And they're Windows on Mac, which is good. And iTunes Producer is if you then want to get your books and you're really happy with them, and you want to get those books and not just have them on iTunes U, but you might want to have them on the bookstore. So they're up there that anyone can find. iTunes Producer is basically a way to package and produce your books, like you would take it to a printer and get it done. It does it for you with your ISBN and all that kind of stuff, and you could choose to put $1.99 on there so people pay for it. You've got all those options as well. So that's that. And I'm also going to show you Keynote, a little bit of Keynote. Yeah, well, actually, it was funny because we were playing around this with our school. We were playing around this, and some of the teachers were really excited because they're putting stuff up. I'm like, oh, I can charge $1 for it, and be able to buy some new shoes. And we're like, well, technically, you're making that at school on school's time with school's computers. Technically, I get the money. But anyway, there's that.
No, we don't care.
Yeah, and so, no, it is good. And it's one of those things where, again, one of my teachers now, and I'll show you the work that she's doing, she's making books and she's publishing them and she's putting them on iTunes U on a public channel, and people are downloading them from all over the world, and great books. And you should see the change in those teachers when they're producing stuff, and I know they enjoy producing stuff for their kids in their classroom, but when they produce stuff and it's available to the world, it completely changes them. I've got one teacher now is doing simple stuff like creating he's recording his lessons and he's putting them online, and he's just loving it. He's reinvigorated,
It's feedback.
Yeah, it is, and it's almost like he feels like, well, people value my work because everyone's doing it, and so this is where I think this is great. I've always pushed that I think teachers should be authors, they should be making their own work. And I've got down there Keynote as well, because Keynote is brilliant. The stuff that Keynote can do, not just making presentations, but animations, you can make those, how you used to have those Flash style interactive games and stuff like that. You can make all of those in here. Keynote can do everything, so I think it's the best tool. So I'll show you a little bit of that as well. So this was my spiel that I did at the where was I again? I've already forgotten. Maritime Museum. And so this was all about why you do this stuff. And so it was basically when I started school, when I started teaching in secondary school, they were basically using those old textbooks, and everyone was using that textbook. Every kid had the textbook, or sometimes if they were really forward-thinking, they'd have two textbooks. They'd have the smart kid textbook and the dumb kid textbook. Whereas something like iTunes U as a platform that you create, you are tailoring your learning. So this is just kind of going through really quickly one of the courses that I made, but you tailor what it is that it looks like, how you branch it, how you cater for diversity, because it's all a post system. And so you can say, right, here is my whole course, and the kids go on their little journey and pick where they go, and they can pick out here. So you can see here it's all about resources and posts. And again, this is for secondary school, so you're probably not going to do something this large. And this was also a whole terms unit of work. So if you were teaching Year 9 history, you could actually do this, and there's your whole Year 9 history course done for that topic. Everything's there. So that's kind of how it works. But with our guys, with primary school, you'd probably want to really scale this back. You might have, again with iTunes, you might have something really simple, like I want you to look at this video or read this book or respond to me, nice, little simple tasks. And you'll see even with my secondary kids in here, I've got, read, review, respond, or watch, or resource. You use those big words that are easy to understand. So that's kind of iTunes U. And then the book section, I've also then created some books, so kind of like my textbooks, I guess you could say, for the course as well. And again, this is the books that I've made for Year 9. So again, quite different to what you're probably doing with your books, because this is, it's history, so there's quite a bit of, there's quite a bit of context I've got to get across. This happened So I think it's a lot of detail, but again, you can change the way that you present that detail, like a little bit more interactive or a little bit more, a little bit of text, and then there's some pictures or some galleries and stuff you can go. I've got a lot of icons there as well. Kids can write field notes on their iPad as well. So that's kind of going through these books, and I'm going to bring all these up in a second and actually show you the working stuff for this, so you can just kind of see how it works. But even those simple things like Pinch and Zoom and stuff like that, kids really love kind of engaging in these kind of books. And you've made, I made these myself, so these are books that you've made. You've tailored them for your kids.
You've written all the text as well.
Yeah, and so that text, again, it's history. So the good thing is, especially with stuff like this, is your Creative Commons. Like, I'm not going to rewrite what happened at the Gallipoli landing if, say, someone like the ABC have done a great job of it. So I use their work, and it's all about, referencing and attributing that kind of work as well. And then you can then take it to your own, you can cut and paste what you want, And so that's Creative Commons is a really, really big one when you put this stuff together, especially when you're going to the trouble to create this book. Even if it's only seen in your class. And a lot of people ask me, when they're making books, is, what do I do with copyright? Can I just take images here and here and here and here? And like, yeah, you can. But if you want to then display that publicly, well, then you can't really do that because it's not your work. And so teachers will go, well, I'm just using it in my class, so that's fine, isn't it? I'm like, well, yeah, I guess, no one else is seeing it. But if you're going to the trouble to create these books, why not create them from scratch with Creative Commons or with royalty-free stuff? So you can use them anywhere, and it's not hard to find things like that. Like a simple Google image search, you could just choose when you do your Google search with your images, Creative Commons, label for reuse, and so whatever image you get up, you can reuse that. Or Wikipedia and all those great sources, like they're all Creative Commons. You can use all of that stuff
his rank
freely. So again,
or his battalion.
Why not just use that information if it's there?
Okay. Wikipedia.
Yeah, Wikipedia, the entire, basically anything you get from Wikipedia, anything, an image, text, anything at all, it's Creative Commons. That's their whole platform.
Always true.
So, well, the text is obviously edited by people, but if there's an image on there, you can use that image. Yeah. But no, in terms of the text that's on there, it's actually pretty good.
I was just listening to them on the radio last night saying their Wikipedia entry about the boy who died in Northcote last year. Yes, had been changed. It was just one of those things I thought it makes you realise.
Yeah, those kind of things, I guess, and then you'll find that people are on that straight away, though, fixing it. But in terms of like, say, history, the stuff that's on there is, you go into their referencing, like it's all journal reference and stuff. So look, I'm a big fan of Wikipedia for a teacher creating stuff. And again, you take what you need. So that was the one thing, obviously, people say, is like, I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to create all this kind of stuff. But, you kind of do, because you're going to this trouble anyway to make this stuff. So in a way, you're making something that you can, it might take a little bit more time now because you're using all these new tools. But especially in the sake of, say, my courses that I've put together, this history course, for instance, I would use that for my whole Year 9 history unit for this year. And then I could then, for the following year, I could look back at it and see what worked, what didn't work, change it a little bit. But there's my course ready to go, and I can share it with the teachers. And, that's the good thing about creating this stuff. Especially I see it in primary schools. People always seem to be just creating new stuff, and not looking back on what they made originally. So this is a really good platform to kind of put that together. So this is just going through the iTunes U layout here. So I'll go through this pretty quickly because, like I said, we're actually going to be able to sit down and have a look at this. And so this is what it looks like on the iPad, which I'll show you a little later. So I'll just kind of buzz through this because you'd probably much rather see kind of hands-on stuff. But you can see what you can put in there, copyrights and references and your links to other resources. And again, here are those posts and there are the books.
If we create iBooks, do our kids have laptops? Are they able to access them?
On Mac, yes. Yep, they can. Yep. So the books you make are Mac and iOS compatible. They can view it on they can't view it on a Windows platform, or they can't view it on an Android platform as yet. And I'm pretty sure that won't change as you go through. So I'll just spin past this because we're going to see this in real time in a second. Actually, the other thing that I had up there too, which may interest you, is you can also do student discussion spaces, and when you have private courses, and they can talk and they can discuss amongst themselves. So you actually have a little mini LMS kind of built into iTunes U for free as well. So I'll just skim past all of this. All right, and I'll jump down to here because this is probably what is going to interest you a lot. So I'll just kind of go to here. So so this is what I've got in terms of content. So it's basically curating, creating and copyright are probably the main things when you put this stuff together. And like I said, there's lots and lots and lots of sources that have great content, even for primary as well. I mean, I think not as much from what I've seen, but you probably know better than I do, finding kind of Creative Commons stuff. Again, yeah, Wikipedia, perfect example. So, like I said, Wikipedia for even just for images. If you see it on Wikipedia, it's Creative Commons. You can use it.
That's the only thing I learned tonight. That's great.
Yeah, any image on there. And like, so if you go Mona Lisa on Wikipedia, there'll be a great shot of that, and that shot's Creative Commons.
Yeah.
And so you can use that shot without a problem, okay? And then what you do when you start to put your book together, you get into the habit of when you put something up, you reference it or you attribute it, you know? And again, that's what you can do. A really good thing with the books is when you have your image, you can just tap it and it'll have a little attribution on the bottom there, like got this from Wikimedia Commons, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, anything you get from there is royalty free. So Wikimedia Commons is their media section of that, essentially. And then
you still have to reference where it came from, though.
I just get into the habit of always doing that. Yeah, always. And that's what you'll find with Creative Commons. They also have like different levels of Creative Commons. Yeah, so there's things like, probably the most common one is you can label for reuse, which means you can reuse it. Some will be labelled for reuse with attribution, so you can reuse it if you put my name down. Others are like labelled for reuse and modification, so you can use this and change it, you can do whatever you want with it, you know? And so there's different levels of it, but essentially labelled for reuse is the main one. iTunes U, obviously anything that's put on iTunes U in most cases is Creative Commons, like that's why it's put up there. Khan Academy, like there's so much stuff out there that is Creative Commons, you know, big things like the BBC, you know, those kind of places. You check what they say, but in most cases, those organisations are happy with you using what they've got up there because they want people to use it, you know, and again, you can just attribute. And the good thing with books and iTunes U is you can do linking, streaming, and embedding. So with a say an iTunes U course or a book, you may just actually have a link in there to a certain bit of content, which may not be Creative Commons, but it's a great piece of information. So you can actually embed it or link it into your book. So when they open their book up, they'll see this section of text or they'll see this image, but it's actually streaming it into their book. So your book is like a window. So you do need internet connectivity for that. Or even like a video. You might have a great video on YouTube, okay, and you really want that in your book. It's perfect, but it's not labelled for reuse. So you can embed it in your book. So when they open their book up, they hit play and the video is playing in their book, but it's actually streaming from YouTube into their book. So you're just a window. And of course, you label that. So they're all the things you can start to do with this kind of platform now. You know, linking around and getting all over the place, and especially with iTunes U, then they just jump back to that central platform. So that's kind of, I guess, the one that everyone is worried about. And of course, then there's your brain as well. So, you know, whatever you can think of, you can put it in there. And then it's your book. So think about the fun stuff that you can do as well and put that in there. And then obviously, this is a big one, is just sending an email. So in terms of my course, I've got a lot of stuff on there from the War Memorial and from other people that have created great stuff. And all I've done is I've just sent them an email and said, hey, I'm putting together this course, this book. It's for high school students. I'm not charging for it. It's free. Do you mind if I use your work? And I think 99% of the time, if you hear back from people, they'll be like, yep, no problems. Yep, use it. You know, if you can attribute me, that's great. And so I'll use their work and I'll attribute them. You know, this video was from here or this video was from there. So even if they haven't listed it, just send them an email. Because people again, they put the effort into making the work. So they like their name to get out there. So again, just send an email out. And this is another thing I used to say when I used to try and get teachers to do it. It's like, what's in it? Like, what's the point of, what's in it for me, really, going all this trouble? And I used to say, being an author, I think, is really powerful. And especially once you start producing stuff, it's really good. It's authentic kind of learning and teaching. You know, because again, if you're creating the stuff, it's your class. So you know your kids. You know, you can add some fun stuff into it. You know, engaging resources. You know, you can tailor lessons for the guys in your room. Share it with your colleagues. You know, you can create, say, I guess in a primary school environment, you know, I'll make a book for this topic and you make one for that topic and you make one for that topic and we'll just all share them. You know, way easier to have this one book to share than this big tub of resources that you're putting together. You can also collaborate. You can work together on a course or on a book. You can actually work together. And you can refine and reuse them, which is really, really good as well. And you save paper. I'm always trying to save paper. And then so... Oh, yeah, well, you're famous. Yeah, so here's... Yeah, you're far more attractive. So this is a book that was made by Beck Pitcher at my school, and she just started getting into this. And within, a couple of days, her book was in the top 10 of the books. And it's a simple thing. It's a simple little book, but it's pretty cool, you know, to have your book in the top 10 books. And you probably won't see it down there, it's on the screen, but that's a course that I set up a while ago. And what it's got there is that's got 11,000 students that are kind of enrolled in that course. So that's more students than I'll ever reach at my school. but they're enrolled and they're finding it interesting. So having those kind of numbers is really good. So it's really good if you want to get a pay rise, because or if you want to get a new job, you're like, well, here's what I've got, look at the number, this is what I'm doing. And I'm being in all seriousness, it's like, look at the stuff that I've created. You've created, as in you as the teacher, you've got this online platform, here are my books, and I always like to say to my guys, like, to brand yourself. Like, you'll notice that, I'm a bit of an egomaniac, so everything I do has an icon that I've made, which is me, and it's got my name on it, it's got a link to my blog. And again, that's just there, so when I, go for my new job, and I can say, well, here's all the stuff I've done, which I'm finding is really hard for our teachers at the moment to do that, because everything they make is kind of in the classroom, or it's handout sheet or whatever, and it just kind of, it's great stuff, but it just disappears. Whereas this is far easier to go to go for a job interview and say, well, I've been doing this, my stuff's online, and I'm sharing it with everyone, and this is the feedback I'm getting. And so I think that's really important. Your principal might not want to hear that, but I think that's really important that you become the author and you tailor it to yourself. Well, are you the principal? Sorry. But you also do that with your school logo on. And so here are numbers as well, and this is again I set up a site for Good Sam, and I've only put a couple of just sample things up there, and we're getting hits from all around the world, checking out our stuff. And I'll also show you something with the kids as well, because when you'll see it with your kids, when they put their books up too, what they can do. And so what's in it for my students, which not as important, but engagement, relevance, all this kind of stuff, diversity, because you can tailor these books to however you like. The teacher's talking to them, my teacher made this book for me. That's really cool. Remoteness and sickness may not be a big issue here, but when I was up at Braemar, we would have kids that would be out for a week because they were shaving llamas, which is actually a true story. So they were gone for a week. So a lot of llama farms up Macedon Way, apparently. So, if your course is online, your books are online, the kids can access them from home. So everything you're doing in class is right there at home as well. So those kind of things are handy. Again, probably not so much in a primary environment, but you can still do that. But with my kids, again, in a primary, so our EAL kids, for instance, a lot of our guys are from Syria, from Turkey, stuff like that. So they're making books and they're putting them online, and their family can see them, which they couldn't do any other way. So that kind of stuff's cool. Contact, connection, preparation for the next step. And with that, I feel, especially with iTunes U, more in a secondary school, it really does kind of get them into that university kind of vibe, with online courses and how it's structured and stuff. So I think, again, in secondary, that's pretty important. And look, they're happy. So that's my classroom from a couple of years ago. So you can see the nice trees outside. So I miss teaching up there, actually. It's a really nice little place. And then obviously this is what your classroom can look like as well too. Basically empty, because the kids are on their iPads. You've got your book. You've tailored it for the different learning styles in your classroom, and they're on that book, so they can go outside when it's sunny, and they can go on the chapter that's relevant to them, and they can work away. They don't have to be in the classroom, which is something I would do as well in my secondary classes. Is I would put all this stuff together and I just let it go, and I could just float around, and then you don't have to worry about that kind of explicit teaching. You just let them go, and then you can potter around and put them out as you go. So that's kind of it. So yeah, empty classroom, which is fun. So now that I've gone through all of that spiel, I'll actually show you the stuff. I'll show you kind of how it works. So
Where do you go for are you going to tell us that? Which platform would you use and why?
Okay, yeah, I'll show you. Yep. All right, so I'm going to get out of here. And first up, I'll show you a couple of books. I'll start with books. I think books is the best starting point. To me, I love the books. I think the books is best because it's a self-contained resource. It's right there. iTunes U, again, is if you want to start kind of diversify and jump off. So the books is really the best platform. So I'll flick in here, and I've got a few books I can show you.
Is this iBooks or is this iBooks?
These are books made in iBooks Author. Okay, and the platform to view these books on an iPad is iBooks. That's their platform. So I'll show you a couple. I can show you a sneak peek. So I was in the National Museum of Australia a couple of weeks ago. I got a secondment there for a week to make some stuff. So I'm going to show you a sneak peek of something because you're not allowed to see this. So I'll spin across. So this was a book that I've made for the museum. So this is coming along there. So I've got a bit of intro media. It's a bit stuttery because it's running through the network, but here's my intro media. So you can do this kind of stuff. I'll just full screen this so you can, nice bit of intro media here. So I'll spin past that. And I've got my introduction, so I'll just tap down there. And so here we go here, here's my introduction, here's my text. And you'll see my intention with this book was because, and again, this is where you can do this as a creator at work, the focus of this book is black and white photography. So my book I've styled like that. So black and white, some really nice typography, because I like typography. but very, very clean. And so I've got some, some scrolling bars here with my text, a lot of links to get them out in different spots. I can play a little video.
So here I am at the National Museum of Australia, in the Landmarks Gallery. So in this book, you're going to see a
little bit of colour.
restored images from Basil Downs' collection.
And I found that I was walking in opposite direction to the person that was doing the camera, so it made it look like I had this weird kind of lip going. And so you've got stuff like that. You can also do stuff like this. So I'm moving these with my finger. I'm just going through these. So there's great little interactivity that you can do here. I'm just playing around. Off I go. So I can do stuff like that. And you'll notice another thing that I think is really important. So down here, I've got a little kind of how-to. So when I make my books, again, your guys are probably okay. They've had the iPads for a while. But this is a new way of kind of navigating a book. So I've designed a lot of icons. And so these icons, mean certain things. Like that finger means I'll tap here. And something's going to happen if you tap here. Or the fingerprint means, if you touch here, something else could happen. And these are things to think about, especially with your kids when you're making these books, is coming up with some icons. And all this stuff I'll share. Like I've got all this stuff so you can take it, or you don't have to worry about designing it from scratch. But these are really important things to do when you first start making your books, getting kids to go, this means this and this means that. And after a while, they'll be pros. But yeah, so as I cycle across, I've got some stuff like I can have these kind of nice little transit. Like again, think of this as like I designed this book as like a coffee table book. I really wanted it to look like that. And so I've got nice little simple touch points. So if I touch that, you have a little bit more information. And as I cycle across, there's the image. That's what's important to me, is the image. And so I've got a little bit of stuff down here, a little bit of text, but to me that's not important. The image is important because that's what I'm focusing on. And as I cycle across, nice little bit of typography there. And as I go through here, you can do a lot of this kind of stuff. I've got a map up there as well. So these are all just little touch points. And so with this photo, I've got a bit more information. And as I kind of cycle through, here's that kind of cool stuff. If I sit here and spin, and all this is free. And when I say free, I mean this is the software doing this for you. It looks cool. I can say that I spent hours doing this, and it's fun because I can spin around in my chair. Kids will do that all day. But that is free. That's a widget, that I've dropped in. I had a panoramic, and I can sit here and I can do this. I had a panoramic photo, which is great, and a really old photo too, really beautiful photo. And I've dropped it in, and I said I want it to be a panoramic. And again, because it's designed, iBooks Author knows it's on an iPad. It knows how an iPad works. It does it for you for free, which is great, and it looks cool. So you've got that kind of stuff, and again, you can see my icons there. So as I cycle across, again, I'll go through a few more books at the moment. I've got a lot of this kind of stuff. So in this one here, I have to be very careful on the placement with that magnifying glass. If you tap here, so you can do all those kind of things. It could be a big laugh, actually. And as you tap there again, you can take this black and white photo and add some context. That's what I was saying before. Like, imagine as a primary school student, they had a picture of a cat. They put it in here and they had all these touch points, and here's the cat's nose, and here's this, and here's that. And so you can do all that kind of stuff. I've also got a little icon in the corner because this is linking to a lesson that I'm doing as well. But that's kind of it. In this kind of book, again, I've got a few things in here that are pretty cool. In this kind of book, I really wanted to kind of make the photos the main focus. So I hadn't a lot of the fancy, shiny stuff that I normally like to do because I like fancy, shiny stuff. Little things like this, what do you see? And it'll kind of zoom in, and those very small kind of snippets of interaction. I'm just going to pinch out of that. If I go across, whoops, let's pinch down. And then you can do a few other things as well. So I'll go to the last part of it in this book, which is kind of cool. So this was the actual exhibition was done, in 2008, I think. So I'm going to go in there. And so what I managed to do was grab a whole bunch of photos for this exhibition. I've got a little sidebar down the bottom there of what I'm talking about. And I can actually, if I tap on there, I'm still working on this, so it may not work. Yeah, it does work. So I've made a little, there we go. Well, that was a really fast tool. So I've made like a little interactive gallery of the gallery because they could no longer go to this anymore because this exhibition finished like 6 or 7 years ago. So they're things that you can do, again, real simple stuff that you can kind of plonk in there. So that's kind of a recent one. And I'll show you a couple more, and then we'll get into the actual doing it. So let's go into. They were all those photos, all those black and white photos were all original photos from like the 1900s. So the museum restored all of those.
Yeah. But have you photographed them to get them into your book?
No, I just got the original photos and plonked them straight in there. Yeah. So we were really lucky. We had complete access to all their archives for the week, so we could just take whatever we want. I didn't break anything, which is good, but we could take whatever we wanted.
How did you physically get the
photos? They're already online.
They'd already scanned them, digitized them, all ready to go. And they said, you can have those. So I'll show you another couple of examples. That's a kind of an extreme. this is an example this was for a Year 8 class, but I think this book would work perfect for primary schools as well. So this is all for a Japanese art project. So again, all Australian curriculum alignment, you can put all of that in there, which is important. Again, you go into the trouble, you might as well put this stuff in there. And I've linked to the Australian curriculum alignments for this kind of stuff. And if I tap on those, I'll go straight to them if I want to. But this was just, again, another visual book. We were looking at artworks. And so again, because I can, I've made it very visual. And all these images are straight from Wikimedia Commons, so all these images are royalty-free, I can use them. So a little bit of text from me, and some nice images. And as we go across, again, I want to focus on the art here, which is what you can do. You've got that.
Is it a template? Do they provide a template?
They do have templates, yeah, or you can use all of Apple's templates. I find that once you get into it, use their templates. But then once you get into it, start to make your own and customise it, because especially when you jump onto the bookstore, you'll see a million of that same template. And what I tell schools when I do this is go to the trouble of making a template for your school. It's not hard. You can make a template just for your school with your topography, your colours, your images. And once you make that one template, you share it to all your staff, and they just fill in the blanks. And then you have your own IP. And again, I really push it. I think that's important for schools to have their own identity. So here again is another text, a very, very simple one, but I can do nice things like have these full colour galleries I'm pinching through. These are, again, free things to do because you just drag and drop and they're all there. I can have a video in there as well. So you want to talk about how this works. Well, plonk a video in there. It's a lot easier. You can pinch that full screen as well and watch what's going on. Bring that down, and you can see my attribution down the bottom there. So where I've got it from, where it's linked to. If they tap on that, they go straight to the source. So even though it is royalty free, I always link to it to let people know where I got it from. Same here as well, like how we're making stuff. So this is one book that a student has. So they've got all these videos, everything in there. You just drag it up, plonk it in. Some nice big galleries as well. Some simple stuff, but it's all there. And then you can do some real fun stuff like this. I like doing this kind of stuff. I haven't updated this one yet, where you can draw on the screen and you can save this and you can do that. But that's that. And I'll show you maybe one more, and then we'll actually get into doing some stuff. All right, so here's probably a good example of a real simple book that we made for primary school. This was one, again, a very simple use of iBooks Author. So all I have here are the letters of the alphabet, and that's Beck in the corner, who's just drawn how the letters work. So we just filmed it.
She's wrong.
Yeah, she knows. Yeah,
She's got it upside down.
yeah, she knows. She knows. We've updated this book since.
Yeah.
Well, bear in mind she was also eating her lunch, and I said, "Oh, Beck, can you quickly do this so I can quickly record them?" So if I clear that,
Give us a B. Show us the B.
Yeah, she knows what she's doing. She's good. Yeah.
But
now,
she lifted a pen.
yeah, again, because she's got a sandwich in one hand, so she's like, "Daniel, stop filming." But you can see here, I can sit here and I can practice drawing my letters.
That's a great home activity.
Exactly, and that's what we did.
They do a lot of that though on the iPad.
Yeah, and so we made this ourselves as opposed to buying an app or whatever. Then we just shared this with our parents, so we don't want our parents to pay for stuff. We made it ourselves. So that's a real simple example again of some things that you can kind of do. What else do I have on here that you might want to see? Oh, this is some other junk. Actually, all right, weather maps. This is one last example I think that I might use. Because this was the one that I used to sell a lot to teachers to get into this. One thing they'll say is like, what's the point of doing this? What's the point of all this stuff? And I use my weather map as an example. So we had 2 classes and we had to teach how to read weather maps. Okay, and you could do 2 things. You could give the kids a textbook, which is what Class A did, and it had this is the weather map, and this is what this is, and here's a bunch of text, and blah, 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 blah. And when they're done, if they manage to sink in, they know how to read a weather map. Okay. So what I did in that same amount of time is come up with this book really, really quickly. It's not my best book, but it works. Where I've gone, all right, we're talking about the weather, a bit of a joke for me, because that's how I like to introduce it. I'm talking about weather maps. We still do need some context. We need some text there. So I've got a picture of what we're looking at here. And we're talking about reading weather maps. I've got some of those sort of fun little hotspots, so they can tap. I'll talk about some class discussion. Let's chat about this kind of stuff. And again, because it's an iBook and you can do all these cool things, the kids can highlight, they can define if they don't know what the word means. So without me having to tell them that any tap of a word, it'll define it for them, it'll read it out. All those things that a kid might not want to put his hand up. Already on the iPad, yep. So if my iPad was set to Arabic, which it is a lot of times, I'll have the Arabic version of that going. That wasn't a joke, it actually. Yeah, it is. And I'm learning a little bit. So all of those kind of things are built in for free. The read out loud. So again, our students can select the text and it'll read out loud to them in their language. So those things are free. Anyway, so that was kind of, that's what I've got, that's the text. But then I thought, you know what, I can tailor this book however I like. So I have Bill Murray, obviously, because I can. And so I'm like, let's do a little bit more. And so I've got a little bit of a weather report there, and it's us, so we can have a report. So our kids know what she looks like, or maybe not anymore. So when I did this, they did, as opposed to that textbook which was my Australian writing American. So instantly they're like, oh, I've seen that. And so you've got them. And so what I've got is, I'm talking about a presenter, I'm talking about a weather presenter and how to weather. You'll see where I'm going in a second. And then I've gone, all right, let's have a look at this. I've got links to the Bureau of Meteorology. Again, all that stuff's free. Satellite images that they can check out, and if they click these links, they go straight to the satellite images. They can save those images to their iPad, and they can use something like Sketch and annotate it. Okay, so I'm showing them how to do that really simply. I'm showing them where they can get live webcam images from, all that kind of stuff. And then basically what they're doing now is they're getting all of that research and they're making their own weather report. And they made really good ones too. So the weather reports were actually accurate for that entire week. Like we compared them to the news, they were accurate. And so in the same amount of time, I found that, all right, my kids learned how to read a weather map. That was the task. So they learned how to read a weather map, but they also learned how to research. They also learned how to collate information. They also learned how to annotate information. They learned how to work together, which was good. They learned how to film, speak in front of a group. So all these other things they were able to do because we were able to make our own book and tailor it. And so at the end of the day, they both hopefully learned the same how to read a weather map, but I think that my kids may have got a little bit more out of it because you can make that book. So that's my spiel. That's what I normally use for this. So that's enough of the spiel.
You got one on natural disasters?
I've got a whole, yeah, I do. Do you want it? I'm not joking. I'll send it to you. I've got all the it's basically year 8s though, so you might have to take some of the context out of it. But no, because I did year 8 history is all natural disasters as well. Sorry, year 8 geography. All right, so they're your books. Okay, so let's go. So once you've got your books, so that's what your books look like. So you've got a few platforms on putting this stuff together. iBooks Author, I'll tap into that really quickly. iBooks Author is obviously what you use to create your books.
Is that, Daniel, only on, it's not on iPads?
iBooks Author is only on a Mac. Yeah. Okay. On your iPad, you have things like Book Creator, which is pretty cool. Book Creator allows the kids to make interactive PDFs. In fact, I can kind of show you what we've done with Book Creator. So this is our iTunes U channel, our school one. Again, it's pretty basic because I'm not doing much with it. You'll be able to do so much more. But I'm just going to go and type in Good Sam. Good Samaritan Primary School. This is an interesting, I can tell you an interesting story about this if you want to. So I've just typed in Good Samaritan Primary School and I've uploaded some books. So these are books that the kids have made. Okay, this is probably a really good example. So the kids have made these books with Book Creator on their iPad. So they've made it on their own iPad. Book Creator obviously is not as, nowhere near as powerful as iBooks Author, but it's not meant to be. It's enough for kids to put in an image, photo, video, audio, and drawings and text, which is kind of what we want most of the day. So our kids, these are my EAL kids. So these are kids who are pretty new to the country and very, very basic with their English. And so they made their books. And so this is Minecraft Steve, who has been downloaded like 15,000, I think 20,000 times now. Well, that's because Minecraft's in the title. So if you take Minecraft away from the title, it won't be as high. But we don't tell them that. And so all they've done in this book is it's really basic. And you can download them. They're on the bookstore now. They're free. And so they've created a book and they've got a little bit of text and they've spoken it in the English, so they've done it themselves. They've learned how to speak in the English. This was Steve, and this is what he does. And then they've spoken the Arabic as well, or in some cases the Chaldean too. So they've put both languages on there in their book. And so this way they're learning English, but kids are also learning Arabic. And I know, again, it's got 281 reviews. If you read some of the reviews, again, this is things that you need to be conscious of. Anyone can review this book, so you'll get kids saying, this book is cool. I'm over 5. It was cool, or this I don't like it, but I like the pictures. So these are kind of things that you'll open up to. So you can think about this. You can turn this kind of stuff off as well. But we let it open because we had a good discussion about this, about what reviews mean and why the kids would say this kind of stuff. And then what we basically came to was like, well, we don't really care because we could probably say that every single 99% of the kids that downloaded this book, they probably only ever heard Arabic on like a terrorist movie, and that's all they've ever heard. Whereas this, they're like, well, no, now they're hearing the language. They're hearing what it sounds like. They're hearing it in different contexts. And so to us, that was more important than any review. Yeah, exactly. Yep. And so the kids made these books with, we'll go back to the book. So they've got some really good ones. Like they've got How to Make Friends and, At My School. And unfortunately, these aren't downloaded as much as because they've got Minecraft in the title. So there's a tip for your kids. If you want books to be downloaded, add Minecraft to the title. Or, here's my maths homework. Here's Minecraft. But yeah, you know, how to make friends, and they're really nice books. They're really, really cool books. And even this one here, At My School, by Glitchies. Now he's learning the language, and so these kind of books, we actually made these books, and he then started reading other people's books, and he was learning from those too. So anyway, I went a little bit off track. So that's with the kids making books on their iPad. So Book Creators is perfect for that. It costs a couple of bucks. It's definitely the best. Then you've got, I'm not sure if you guys are doing volume purchasing or anything like that, or how that works, but yeah, so it'll be a few dollars. Definitely worth it. But no, so if we go back to iBooks Author, so you have your templates, and they're really nice templates. They're good at making good templates. Really, really nice templates. And yeah, you can pick one and go, you know what, that's the one I'm going to roll with, and I can customize it. So you can even customize these templates too. Or you've got blank here, so you can make your own. These are probably the most popular. You know, this something like this, or even photo book. I'll tap on photo book. And we'll bring that up there. And it is, you know, drag and drop. So you can customize these quite quickly. There's a special little drop down here if I bring that down. Okay, so this is how you could customize and kind of make it yourself. So this is your layout. So if I go into this layout and I change this, I'll just show you really, really simply. I'm going to change this from that font to Gotham. I'm going to make it that color instead. And I'm going to make that, I don't know, this hobo text, because I don't know, I like hobos. I'm going to move the one, you know, I want the one centered because that's how I am. I want to have a different image, or I want to move that around, or whatever. If I apply those changes, you'll see before I apply them, that's what it looked like. So I'm going to apply those changes down there. It instantly changes your template. So that way, and when I do if I do a new chapter, so I'm going to add a new chapter. Okay, there's my template that I've changed. Yeah. So what I tell most people is, yeah, you know, you can start from blank. But that's quite hard. So get one of Apple's templates and customize it. You know, customize it to your liking. Again, drop your logo. So if I go into this layout again up here to edit this layout, I might then go in and put my school logo here or something like that. And then whenever I do a new chapter, it'll automatically be sitting down there. You know, bring the opacity down or something like that, or move this around. So yeah, you can customize these as much as you like. And that's what I do. I pick a really nice template that you like, customize it, schoolify it, and then own it, and then you can share it with your staff to use, because once this is done, you actually save this. So if I go save as template, it'll save this as a template, and then you can just email that to your staff and say, hey, when you make your books, can you use this template? So you can do that. And of course, they're still the author. They're still in charge of the book. So
do you get to choose your pages, as in with a template?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what I mean? Yeah, that you can have a variety.
Yeah, of course.
It doesn't all look the same.
No, not at all. So
you've got a range of different.
Yeah. So if you look at chapters, there's 4 different chapter options.
Oh yeah.
Okay, like chapter just with a photo, or and then once you're into your chapter, and again, these are the default templates, so you can make as many as you like. I've got hundreds that I make. If I go to pages, there's a different kind of page templates I can do.
Yeah.
But even when you pick a template, you can then change that into however you like. It's going to probably kick in a sec. You can change that page to however you like. You can say, you know what, I don't want that picture that big. I want to move it over here. I want to have some text over here and stuff like that.
If you complete a page in today's section, can you then...
You're going to say move pages?
No.
Okay,
Can
no.
I change it then to a chapter?
No. Okay, so there are some limitations that there are workarounds to. The biggest one is once I create... So, and it all comes into the back end, which you probably don't want to know about, but how this stuff works is how pages are linked together. So there's a lot, and this is where Apple are really good. They have a whole bunch of really technical stuff going on in the background, which you don't see, which are reasons why some things just don't work. So if I add pages, and I'll tell you how I make books. So let's add some pages in here. So once you've made a page, you can't move a page. Okay, so you can't swap pages around. And again, there's a reason why. And I'll show you how you get around this. And it's probably a good thing. I can move chapters, okay, because a chapter is like a self-contained section. So I can move a chapter, okay, but I can't move pages within that book. But what I can do is I can insert a new page. So if I go insert page, or even I'll just right click. So I'm trying to work on 2 things. I'm just going to insert a page, and now I've got a blank page there. I can now copy everything from this page by just simple copy and paste, and I can paste it in there, and then I can delete from here. So it's a roundabout way of doing it, but I can do that. And so yeah, it's a reason because in the background there's all this linking going on. So yeah, you can't move pages around, but you can move chapters, you can move sections. Okay. So the bigger thing, I guess, and it all depends on how familiar you are with this, is you either design your book first. Okay. So and that's kind of more important. Like I'm quite good at this now, so I can kind of throw it in as I go. I kind of visually know in my head where I'm going. But when you want to put a book together, it's really helpful to have like a second folder, which has all your images already. It has the text. You kind of know what you want, and then you start to build it. And that's how Apple kind of say, this is what we want you to do. You know, we want you to have all your images, have all your videos, have all this kind of stuff, and then build it in here. And you know your kind of your flow of stuff. But no one's going to do that, so you just build it in there. But yeah, just have that in the back of your mind. Like moving pages around, stuff like that is a limitation. So if you know what you're doing to begin with, that will make life a lot easier.
Also ask another thing. Why would you use a page rather than a section?
So sections will come up within your chapter. So if we go into the table of contents, you'll see all your sections here. I think it's just more going into that kind of that book format. So to me, I still like kind of traditional books. So to me, you have a chapter, then you have pages in that chapter, and then you might break up into a section. So let's look at a history book. So chapter 1 could be 1920 to 1950. That's my chapter. And then in there, section 1 is 1920 to 25. And then within there is the pages within that section. So that's how I would structure a book, because that's how I would read a book. And that's how I would navigate a book. So that's what I would do. But it's completely up to you. Sections, chapters, however you want. Chapters, the good thing with chapters is you can link to chapters, where you can't link to pages in iTunes View, but I can show it.
So with the 5, 6 who are making basic books at the moment, is it, because that's what some of the confusion that we've had, making chapters and making sections.
Yeah, I would go one chapter
and
pages.
And pages.
I wouldn't do sections just to get their head around it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about sections. So their book is one book. It's chapter 1.
Yeah.
Okay. And a good thing like that is once you've got that, you can now say 20 kids have made their one chapter, which is their book, and it doesn't have to be called chapter. They can call it my book. They can call it whatever you want. You can change that. You can then get all those chapters, copy them, and put them into one book and call it grade 6. And then each of the students has their own chapter. So.
But then, would they have it, if they're doing that, would they have a table of contents?
Yeah, so the table of contents only shows up if they have sections, but your book has a table of contents which will have all your chapters in there as well. So,
you go to table of contents a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Down here, see down the bottom, you've got 3 dots because you've got the 3 chapters. You
Yep.
can click to each one.
Yep.
Now, because one of the kids asked me this today, if they do not want that 1.1 there,
Yep.
If they've just got pages, will that just be a white box with chapter 1 written on it?
Yeah, you can change this. So if you go into your layout here, okay, and no, you just change the numbering. So let me just go in here. Sorry, my screen's really small. So here we go. So here's my numbering here. So you can change the format. You can change, if it's going to have 1.1, chapter 1, or if it's not there at all.
Yeah.
So you change all of that within your kind of your formatting here. So these two tabs here are super important. This is also the author. This is the title of the book. Now here's one that I'll tell you right now to do all the time. Tap on that one. Disable portrait. Okay. So if kids are using, if kids are doing a template like this, which is a great template. Again, when you rotate the book, it's designed so that there's two ways of viewing a book. Landscape is visual, you see the images, When you rotate, what you'll find it'll do is it'll push. Well, it's actually really cool. It actually pushes all those images to the side to have little icons, and all you see is the text. So it's designed for a bigger book to say, right, you're in reading mode, and all you're doing is reading. Okay, you're getting all that distraction out of the way, and you're just reading. And in that mode, they can increase the text size, they can decrease the text size, stuff you can't do in landscape. So, but you're doing twice as much work because you need to then go back and make sure that looks nice. And so what I do is go, don't worry about it, turn it off. So they only see that one view. That's really important. So always get in the habit of doing that, unless you were creating maybe a journal or something that has a lot of reading, which we're probably not going to do. So that would be my other big tip as well. But that's pretty much it. And it is drag and drop when you use the templates. You've obviously got your widgets, which you guys have been playing around with. These are all pretty cool. The gallery widget, again, if I plop my gallery widget in there and then I drag 20 pictures in there, it'll automatically make it into the gallery. I'm sure you know all that kind of stuff. The popover widget I think is brilliant, and that's where, if I'll just move that out of the way. So my popover widget, if I double tap or tap once on that, you can have text and images in there. And then you can choose what image is on that. So like I said, I have a fingerprint so kids know to touch. Or sometimes I do this and be sneaky and just hide it all together. And so they tap around until they find something cool. So you've got those kind of fun things there as well. Your reviews are great. These are always really, really good fun. The kids love it, even though it's just a simple what is the right answer. But as you probably had a look at when you were playing with this, you've got quite a few options. Have you explored these yet?
No, we haven't looked at it.
Yeah, so they're really handy as well. So things like drag label to target, so with that, this could be, the image could be a truck, and this could say door, horn, and as long as you put that over that part of the image, so I put that over the door, I put that over the horn, when the kids move it, that's where they go. And so Beck has been making some really good books just for her kids, and all they are just widgets, as in just these reviews. Her entire book is just a review. And it was something like like you might have 1, 2, blank, 3, blank, blank, 5. Wait, I'm just getting my math right. And then so what she would have in the bottom is the numbers, and she might have numbers 1 to 10, and she'd be like, drag the numbers in the right order. And so, again, I know there's lots of stuff out there that does that. A handout sheet would do that, but that took her all of 5 seconds to make that. And so her whole book was just things like that. And because, this week we're concentrating on the letter A. She made a quick little review book which had, actually the one she used, I can show you. You can download it, actually. It'll give us some...
You're right, because you are doing the work anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well
Just do it in. Yeah, which you can reuse, you can modify. So this one here she had here, tap on the animal that starts with A. And then she had 4 different pictures, and then she picked which one it was. And so super simple. And then she shared that with the other prep teachers. And so what our guys do now, our prep teachers, is now when they have their rotations in the morning, some kids are doing something, other kids are on the iPad using these books. And so she made that whole book, she's getting a lot better at it. She made that whole book straight away, like really, really quickly. And, next week they're concentrating on the letter Q. So she can make her book for Q, and again, you're doing it anyway, so let's put it in this fashion. So there's all that kind of stuff, and there's a whole bunch of scrolling sidebars and all this kind of, you can make really fancy HTML, but we won't worry about that. One other thing which is really important, which I'll tell you about, which you probably won't do by default, but get into the habit of it, is I'm going to find an image. I'm going to use, I'm just going to go into messages because I know I've got some pictures in there. Justine, that'll be my wife. All right, let's find a little picture of a baby boy. Here we go, this guy. What a cute little guy. You don't want to see Riggins. Let me find a picture. There he is. Oh, cute. All right, so I'm going to get him and I'm going to plonk him in here. Just drag and drop. All right, so ignore all this stuff behind here. This is one I always push people to do, and I'll show you why. Okay, so here's my picture of a cute little baby. And that's fine. Our kids that can see, they know that's a picture of a cute little baby, okay? But there are a lot of people that are using our books now that can't see. So what you've got down here is in your layout, you've got a thing called accessibility.
How do you get that window open?
Okay, so this is this side part here. This is your inspector. Your inspector is everything. Your inspector controls everything. Yeah. And so you'll see you've got a bunch of options down here. So when I click on that image, all of these options now change to be referencing to this image. So I can rotate him around. I can flip him around on that one. In this one here, I can give him a nice kind of cool little picture frame. I like this one. There it looks like it's in a picture frame. I can bring the opacity down. So everything here has a different option. This one says I want to give it a title. I want to give it a caption. I can add those as well if I want to, or turn them off. You don't need to do that. And then this one here so there's your interaction. So if I say goes full screen, if I tap on that, okay, I'm going to say, right, if I untap that just sits there. They tap on it, nothing happens. If I say goes full screen, if they tap on that, it'll take up my full screen, okay? But what is the most important one to use, and I really encourage you to get in the habit of it, is layout. And down here, we've got a thing called accessibility description. And so I'm going to type in here, this is a picture, I should probably, my screen's really small, picture of a baby. Done. Okay, so that accessibility description is now built in. So now with that, when someone comes to this page, and with all the accessibility things on the iPad, they can turn pages automatically, it will say, you're now at a page, there's a picture of a baby on there. But it'll say what I said, not with my bad grammar. Or it would, if you have some audio, it'll say, here is some audio of birds chirping, but it'll do it automatically. When they touch it, or it depends on how the iPad's set up. So for instance, people that are vision impaired will have their iPad set up to read aloud. And so it'll automatically turn the page and it'll say, on this page is a picture of a baby, and it'll read the text to them. Or people that have hearing issues, well, it'll say what those kind of things are. So they're things that, again, a couple extra seconds to put in, but can make the world of difference to someone else that's viewing your book. And yeah, that's all in accessibility. So as you're dragging and dropping stuff in here, spend a couple of seconds and add that in there as well. But that's pretty much it. I'll open up a book so you can see. I'm not going to save that. So you can kind of see what this looks like in practice. I'll open up recruitment posters. That's probably a fairly simple example. All right. So we'll just get that out of the way. Don't review. So you can see in my section here for recruitment posters, all I have is one chapter and a few pages. Okay, so another good thing about these books is you make short books. Make really short books if it's about a certain topic. It's about the letter A, it's like the letter B. Make a small book. And so again, you can see here with mine. I'll move that out of the way so you can see it. Get out of the way. Just turn that off. So this is targeted at Year 9. So I've got a bit more text here. If I tap on these, I've got my attribution, so they can see where that's from. They can tap on that. So you don't even have to have those giant, HTTP, this is where it came from. Little tap button tells you where it came from. That's where that came from. And I'm using my icons. They know if I tap on that, it's full screen, and here's some stuff there. Here is I've got a scrolling sidebar. And my point with that scrolling sidebar was, this is like a little aside. This isn't really part of what this book's about, but I just thought it was cool because I like, I bet most of our kids didn't know that, the magic pudding guy did this really cool, disgusting, horrific posters as well. So a little aside that you can put in there. And that's where these kind of widgets can help you out as well, from monsters to pudding. And this is, again, where you put your own little spiel on things. You can add your own little info in there because I'm guessing that most of our Australian history books may not even have that in there because I'm sure we're not super proud of that, but, he did it. And then, I've got things like critical thinking activities and I've put that kind of stuff in there as well. Simple tables like, argument, persuasion, propaganda. So, again, this is more text heavy because that's the point of the book, really. I'm trying to get some information across. But then I've broken it up with some nice full screen galleries here of this kind of stuff as well. And that's, again, a real simple book. And again, do get into the habit of, nice front cover. Get your typography nice. There's me, because again, I'm promoting myself. So you have your school, you have whoever you like. That's what people see. So that's one example there. I'm just conscious of time, so I'll show you one more book, and then I'll show you the iTunes U stuff, and then I think we'll call it a day because I think you want to get out of here. So I'll bring up this Japanese art project. Again, a bigger book. So you can see here, there's my front cover, there's me plugging myself as I do, and then I've got my chapters. So in my chapters, if I break those down, I've got sections with this. Here's my chapter, because I want to talk about this as a topic, and my section within that chapter, the first section is this art style, and the second section will be another art style, and in the third section, another art style. So you'll decide how you break it up. But again, this is all just a little bit of text, and just drag and drop my images as I place them in. There's just a gallery, so there's not much there. And then there's your book as you kind of build along. And so again, quite a big book, but even stuff like this. By this point, I'm like, my year 8 boys are bored, so let's chuck Asher Boy in there. And they were instantly then engaged again. They could jump straight to this chapter. And so, kids could pick their chapter, they could pick where they wanted to go, they could pick what interests them. All right, so that's your books. So then in terms of iTunes U, I'll show you how this works. I'm going to sign into it. So iTunes U you make is all done online. So I'm guessing, you haven't played much with iTunes U? Okay. So iTunes U is all online. So you basically sign up. I should probably scroll past that first one. You sign up and you create a course, and it's all cloud-based. So it can be on a Mac, it could be on your iPad. You can make it anywhere, and you make your course. And so I'll bring in this course here, and so I'll bring that up. And so here's my course, and all it is, I'll full screen this so you can see it a little bit more. It's really, really simple to make a course. So all I've done, this is actually live, so I won't mess too much with this one. If I edit my description, so I can actually it's just text boxes. So I've talked about, here's my course, this is what it's about, this is what you're going to find out. It's like your page, okay? And you make some nice cover art, and again, you keep promoting yourself. I've said it's a two-week course. This one's actually I've given to the department, the DEECD is using this in their state schools to show teachers how to make them. So that's why that's got Department of Education up there and not good sound. But yeah, so there's my introduction, and then you have your instructor. That's me, this is what I do, blah, blah, blah. And then your outline. And so here's the outline of my course, okay? So what I've been telling teachers is this could be an outline of a course. This could be your term 3 curriculum. Week 1, we're doing this. Week 2, we're doing this. Week 3, we're doing this, okay? In fact, some of our teachers are using iTunes U as a place to do their curriculum planning for the year. Not to give to students, but just for themselves to kind of put this together, because it's all free. And so this is my outline of this course. And so we're doing this first, and this is the next topic, and so these are topics, okay? And then down here you can add as much as you want in terms of pages. And here's my Australian curriculum alignments, blah, 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 boring stuff. Links to other resources. This is my friend's course, Craig, who did really good stuff with the autism spectrum. This is what I ran in my school, actually. I ran his course, which was good. And then my copyrights and references as well. And that's it. That's your course built. And so then Once you've got that, you go into your posts. And so I'm going to go into, I won't do that because that's a massive one. I'm going to go into this one here. So this is introduction, resources, and respond activities. So I'm going to go in here. And then so in this one here, I've got, so this is my topic, interactive timeline of selected key events. And then I've said it's a research and respond activity. So I'd be really descriptive in my words for my kids so they know what they're doing, they know what they're getting into. And then I've got, well, here's the title of this course, this topic. And then I've said, all right, this is what we're doing. So again, think of this as the teachers come in, all right, today we're looking at this, and this is what we're going to talk about. So there's their kind of their learning outcome. And then from there, I've got a few of my resources. And so in this case, it's just this book that I made. And so I've got, again, really big words, read, interact, activity. So I want you to read this book, okay? I want you to interact with this part of the book, and I want you to do this activity. Okay, so it's as simple as that. And I'll go to something else, which is probably a better example. Actually, I'll go to, sorry, again, this is a pretty massive course. This is a good one. Okay, so this one here is again, and this will look different on the iPad. It's a lot more visual on the iPad. So in this one, I've got the nature of warfare, and this is a visual storytelling activity. So this is my lesson for today, my topic. And then I've got, tell a story visually. So what I've said here is, all right, this is what I want you to do. I want you to watch this video here, and on the iPad, they'll have that video sitting there, and they can watch it straight away, and it's a video that I made. I want you to watch that video, and it's all about the nature of warfare, blah, blah. Again, I've tried to be funny, because that's what I do. I've said I've used an app to do this, and I've used Adobe Voice, which is really, really cool if you haven't played with that. Adobe Voice allows students to, it's like a little slideshow, and they get greeted with a blank screen, and they plonk in icons and stuff like that. It does it automatically, and then they record their voice to it. I'll probably show you the video, it'll make more sense. So that's a great little app. And so then I've said I want you to create this and create your own video. And so what they've got here is that's my lesson, and then here are my resources to do this. So the first resource was a video. I want you to watch the video that I made. Check it out. And then I want you to make your own. That was my second question. I want you to make your own. And then so in terms of resources, here's a resource of my video and how I put it together, so you can read that if you need some extra help. And here is the app, so you can click on that. So again, if you switch across to the iPad, I'll show you. Actually, no, I can't. I'm logged in. No, I won't. I was going to say I'll show you something, but it might be confusing. But on the iPad, it'll look a little bit different. On the iPad, the student will see that. They'll actually see the video. They'll see the app link, and they'll see that, and they just tap on them, and they go straight to it. But that's it. So all you're doing with iTunes U is you're using it as kind of like a framework to put all your stuff in. So it doesn't necessarily need to be books. It can be anything. Okay. And so if I go back again to my posts, I'll try and show you one more post, which is what a lot of teachers are doing. If I go to, this one's a good example. So this one here is a way that I'm kind of using it to, the old, what are they called, web quests that they used to do? Yeah. So I've kind of made that. So I've gone, hi, my name is Edgar. And so this unit here is I'm talking about a series of online resources I want them to kind of explore to find, basically to answer this question. And the question is about this guy called Edgar. He was in the 8th Battalion and he was from Mildura. That's the only information I gave them. And then so what I wanted them to do was find all this information out and actually create a keynote, which was like a biography of Edgar. And so then in my assignments, they're just clues, and they're just links to websites. And so if they click on that, they'll go to that website and they'll find a bit of info. They'll click on that, they'll go to that website, they'll find a bit of info, so on, so on, so on. Then I've said, right, I want you to research. So have you found the information? Awesome. Now my next one is, all right, I want you to complete your biography of Edgar, which I've talked about. And then so in my other resources here, I've actually then put in a Keynote template for them. So I've already done the template. They can just download it straight on their iPad and fill out the details. And I've also got the link to the app as well. So they can kind of do all those things as well. So yeah, you're basically just using it to put your resources together. So it's definitely a next step kind of thing. And so in terms of how you would do it with primary is, again, it's completely up to you. It's just really putting those steps in and you're putting those resources in. And another thing that I can do with this is with a question, I could go, like, I think I've got some, extra resources. Yeah, like extra resources, or you could do, here is my topic for today. I want you to, I don't know, read this book and tell me this answer to this question. And so I might actually have, as one resource, I might have the text. And so, half of my students might be able to read that text and do the project. But then I might also have a video on there too, which kind of shows this process as well. So my kids that are maybe stronger, not as strong in reading, but stronger in watching the video, could watch that video and, oh, now I get it. Or they could watch it a couple of times. Oh, now I get it. Or you could have some extra viewing. Like, if you didn't understand that, watch this video, or have a read of this, or look at this thing that I made. A lot of times when I did it with my classes, I would also put up, here's an example of, and it'd be me recording, showing them how it works. And maybe 2 kids had to watch that video, but it helped those 2 kids. And it's all in that one course. So as the kids are doing this on their own, on their iPads, wherever, they're the only ones that know, I need to click that, I need to watch that, I need to do this, I need to do that. So again, you can really start to diversify that way. But that's pretty much that's pretty much iTunes U. So that looks complex because it's quite a big, huge course. But if I go to something very simple, I'm trying to find some really simple. The weather maps one's probably a real good example. So very, very simple course. That's what I've talked about. And so all I've done in here is you can see very, very simple. I want you to research weather maps. So here's a link to the weather maps, and here's the app to use to annotate. Or I want you to watch this video. So here it is here. I'm talking about watch this video and think of these questions while you're watching it. And if they click on that, they can watch the video. So it doesn't have to be super huge and super complex. It can be very simple. And so I broke this one down in parts. So part 1 was read my book. Part 2 was read the section on weather maps. Part 3 was watch that video, and on your iPad you can tick these off as you go. Part 3, do this. Part 4, research weather maps. Part 5, satellite images. Part 6. So very, very simple. And you could imagine your primary kids. This could be a week-long project, and so even a week-long project for homework because they've all got it on their iPad, so they can download all the materials straight at school. If they haven't got internet access at home, which a lot of my kids didn't, they can download everything in my course, which is all of that kind of stuff. They can download that all while they're at school. And then they can go home and they can fill this out. So you could say, your week-long activity or your 2-week activity is to go through this course. And so, today for homework, I want you just to do part 1. And they tap that off and they do part 1. And tomorrow I want you to do part 2 and they can tap it off and do part 2. And you may not do it with your guys, but you can also have discussions as well. So they can also have little discussions on part 7. So all the kids can type in, how did you go here? Or how did this work? Or you can have little chat rooms and stuff in there as well, which is all private. But that's that. That's pretty much courses. And then, do you want me to keep going? Because I know I've probably gone over time. I can kind of wrap it up if you want. Keep going.
There was a couple of questions about, is it publishing iBooks once they need their own Apple iPad?
Yeah, well, I'll show you this last part, and then I'll answer questions, and I'll let you go home. So, in terms of publishing, so I'm going to sign in here. So when you create your books, okay, you can choose to do whatever you want with that book. Okay, so when you finish your book, you go File, Export as Multi-Touch Book. And it literally gives you a file. Okay, so if I squiggle across here are these. I'll open up my Japanese book. So here's my book that I'm working on. Okay, and I'm going to go File, Export. Okay, and I'm going to export that as a book. And so it's saying this is going to be a .iBook. So I'll just put that on my desktop, and I'm going to export that. And so that's going to make a file, and that file is your book. Finished, completed, done. So we haven't published it and put it anywhere. We've just saved that. Now, that file is your book. So you have a few options with that. You can put it on your school website, and kids tap on it on their iPad, boom, it downloads to their iPad. You could email it to them. You could put it in a Google Drive. You could do whatever you want. So wherever you put that book is up to you. And all the kids do is click on it, boom, it's in their iPad. They've now got that book. So how I used to do it without doing iTunes or anything like that is I'll get my book and I would then have on my blog, on my personal, my classroom blog, I would have, here's your book for this week, click on it, download it, and boom, it downloads to their iPad. And that's it. And then once it's downloaded, open in iBooks and it's there.
So they don't need an iTunes account?
No.
So can they view their book on the Mac?
Yes. Yep. So if I double click that book, I've just exported it. I'm going to double click it. So let's go to desktop, Japanese art books, and it'll bring it up on iBooks on my Mac. So here it is here. They don't need to do this. That's just because I've got some books.
Oh, maybe that's why I thought that.
Yeah, no, that's just because I've got some books that I've already downloaded. But here's my book here. So exactly the same. I can swipe, I can pinch. Yep. Obviously things like my fancy panoramic that I did is not going to work because the MacBook doesn't have a gyro in it, so they have to do that manually. So those kind of things, they'll work, but it's just touch instead. You can't pinch and zoom. So if I it's more tap. It's pretty good. All the things like define is still in here. You can still do define. You can still add notes. Read later. So, and that will then be in your notes up here. So there's your notes. So they can do that. So all you're doing is that they're just opening that file. So yeah, you don't need to publish and put it anywhere. You just give them that file. They don't need iTunes accounts. They don't need to worry about it. The next step is, if you want to publish it.
Can they, if they've done that part, you said they can send it to an iPad?
Yes. Yeah. So all it is the file. So it's this. This is your book. That Japanese art project iBooks. That's the book. So wherever that goes, wherever they open it, there's your book.
And how do you get it to them?
Again, so that's your option. Emailing, depending on your book, can be a little tricky. Yeah. If you can put it in Google Drive. If you've got a Google Drive, you can have a Google Drive that's grade 6 multi-touch books. And you plonk it in there, and all the kids do is on their iPad, they navigate to it, they tap on it, and download it to their iPad. Yeah, so emailing, I used to email, but that was when my books were quite basic. There were a couple of meg, that's fine. But the second you start dropping in video and images, like that Japanese book is 93 meg. You don't want to be emailing that out. So if you just have it in your Dropbox or on your school website, and they click that link, they just download it. So you're publishing it yourself, essentially. And that's how you share them out. That's the easiest way to share them out. Your other option is your publishing. So I'm going to go into, like I said, I've got a few here. I'm going to go to Good Sam. So you can choose to publish your books online, okay, on the actual iTunes store. So this is iTunes U, and so you've got two publishing options. We'll first go to iTunes. So here's iTunes. Okay, so I've actually published these books to iTunes. So anyone on any iOS device can search for the book. There it is there. It'll be in a much cleaner format as opposed to emailing. So if I go into this one here, you can have samples of the book. So I've basically published the book, like a free app. I've published the book. And so you can put your book up here and anyone can download it. You can write about it. You can have reviews. You can have all that kind of stuff. So
How do you upload them to them?
So you publish these. So this is your next step, and this is the one where if you're going to do this, you're now basically putting your stuff publicly facing, so anyone can see these books. Okay, so that's where again, as a school, you decide on that platform. So I know some schools I've worked with, they would do a thing where it would go through one person, as in they would make sure that it's it looks great and it's up to snuff. But to me, I just want stuff up there. I don't really care. I want, if you're doing stuff, promote it. But also, this is where you want to make sure your copyrights and your attribution, all that kind of stuff, is really, really good to have, because you're putting your name out there as well. So that's public facing. And if I also go to, that's just a bookstore. If I go Good Sam Primary School, we also have an iTunes U channel. So that's this one here. So if I go into here and I go to that weather maps, I'm going to then go to just, so you can see it here as well. So I've also put it up here, and so you can download that course and that book here as a public-facing course. So that's public. Anyone can see that, and again, it's great. It's really good promotion. Your name's out there. Everyone can see this, which is really, really good stuff. You can also make iTunes U courses privately too. So if I go back to that iTunes U course that I made,
You need an account to do this, don't you?
the teacher will, yeah. Yep, the teacher will. And so if you make that, if I go back to all my courses, okay, and
Are the courses any good if they're looked at on the Mac?
the courses don't work on the Mac. Courses
They
are,
don't work on this.
no, you create them on your Mac, but the whole structure of how the course works and the ticking off and all that kind of stuff, it's only iPad exclusive, yeah. Yeah, so if that's a thing, then don't worry about it, don't use it. But you saw how the courses work. It was just a structure for putting your resources together. So what I would do if I wanted to have my courses online on any computer, and what I did was I just created a website. And so I had my blog, and I would have, today's lesson is we're doing this. Here's a link to the book, click that book to download it, boom. Then I want you to watch this video, and I just put that video up there. So iTunes U really is just a handy way to package all that, but it's not doing anything different than a website would. Or yeah, well, you could do you could set up a Google site, for instance, and it has all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it takes time. Yeah. So you've got a million options. iTunes U is great, but again, if it's something really that you've got to train your kids to use it. It's a different platform, and it is really just, it is kind of, to me, I look at it as like a website. It's just putting everything in the right order. It does some great stuff. But yeah, you do limit yourself to needing an iPad. But the books themselves, they can work on an iPad, they can work on a Mac, and you can put them anywhere. Yeah. So look, I love the idea of teachers producing books, putting them online, putting them on even the bookstore. So if we go to the iBooks store, if we go into here, I'm going to get out of that, and I go to the iBooks store. So this is kind of separate from iTunes U. I'm going to type in, what's a book that I've made? Japanese that's probably going to be a bit of a stretch to find that if I do that. Japanese art. There it is there. Boom. Third search. Yes. And there's my book. And so this is on the iBooks store. I've published it. Anyone can access it. It's free. I might put $1 on that next time. It's free. You can do things like, again, here are your sections. And again, this is me. Like it's promoting me, which is nice. And I can update. This is version 1.1 because I had some changes in my book and I wanted to update it. So you can do that. Push changes and update it. So yeah, so you're completely, it's up to you what you do with your work, essentially. Keep it in your classroom, that's fine. Put it online, that's fine. Put it on your school website, that's fine. You know, have an iTunes U channel, which is private just for your kids, yeah, sure. And then when you've got a few courses, make it public and show off, you know. So yeah, completely kind of limitless. So yeah, so that's a lot of stuff. So
Yeah.
do you want me to answer questions now before? Yeah. So it really is just play. Like again, iTunes, all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't be stressing about that. I'd put that in the back burner. Okay, it's great. I think in primary school, look, you can use it, but to me, the books are the best thing. I think the books are the best thing. And
Kids also. Ours have started making
yeah, that's awesome that your kids can, like, I would wish my kids had MacBooks, but we're away from that. But the fact that your kids can make these books, and they can go to the next step, so they can publish their work, and they can put it on the bookstore under their name, or under the school name, like our kids' books were, you know. You can put $1 on it if you want to. You can. You might even do that as a fun experiment. Let's put $1 on it and see what happens. Yeah, but again, so when you do that, and get your kids to do the same things that we just talked about. So if they're creating a book, and if they make a great book, you want it to be online, so they should be doing those steps that we talked about. So make sure they're getting royalty-free images. Make sure they're getting Creative Commons stuff. And it's simple steps to get into. Even the things like the accessibility, why not get them to do, and it's a really good task for them too. All right, how are you going to describe your image in text? Like that's a whole different kind of learning outcome they've got to start thinking about. You know, they're thinking about other people, and so yeah, get them to do those steps as well, and then they can put their book up there, and those kind of steps are easy. So when you get to that point, when you want to start publishing, give us a shout. I'll come back and I'll show you that because that's really cool. But yeah, so what you do with your books is fine, but definitely getting those habits of the copyright stuff and the accessibility stuff because they're really good habits to have, and it just means you can keep using your work for much time. But yeah. That's a lot, and that's everything there. But
No, that's really open my eyes.
yeah,
Actually, Darwin, you should do speak fast.
that's why I record. Slow it down. But yeah, so look, it's awesome that you're doing it. Like just the fact that you're creating stuff is brilliant. Like you're already the step above. You know, the fact that you're going, you know what, I want to create this stuff. I want it to be mine. I want to be authentic. Then do that. And so yeah, like I say, those extra couple of spending 10 seconds here, 5 seconds there to do those other little bits. To make it like a book that everyone can use and to make it a book that you can own. And then you can update it, you can change it around and, yeah, get a little icon and put your name on there and become famous. But yeah, so that's the whole gauntlet, essentially.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you.
cool, that's all right. I'll stop recording now.